You're listening to the best local sports show. Boots, Bats and Balls on Six Towns Radio.
Chills Bar, Bearsley, sponsors of Port Vale content on Six Towns Radio.
Tom Pell, let's talk about the Rochdale game first of all. Johnson Spate Trophy. Are you a bit gutted that you've gone out in that?
Yeah, we're gutted. I think, it's where you lose games of football. You can lose a game of football, play really well and get done on a break or what have you, and you hold your hands up and say we've played well, we didn't deserve it. On Tuesday was one of them performances where you'll take your hat off and say they battered us, they deserve go through, and we weren't good enough. Yeah,
after the Bristol City game, you think that would have been a bit of a kick up the backside because they were a bit stale in that up until the goal at the end.
We were, but they're certainly a good side. I think they're in a false possession. I think more people were moaning and getting on the players because they were in the bottom four and people expected us to go and batter Bristol City. You look at their forwards. That Emmanuel Thomas I've heard is supposed to be going for a few million in January, so they've certainly got some great players and they're certainly in a false position, but as a team to be as bad as we were and to be under the cosh for as long and still come away with a point, that's the sign of a decent side, really.
You've hit the nail on the head. Just because they haven't started great doesn't mean they won't be there towards the end of the season.
I think they'll be one of them that will go on a run soon. I think once they get that first win, looking at what we've played, I don't know if they just turned up and played really well that game or not, which can happen, but I can't understand though after 10 games they hadn't won a game, because the quality they've got, they've certainly been a lot better than some of the sides we've played this year, and I'm sure they'll go on a run. It wouldn't surprise me if they end up finishing in and around the playoffs.
You never know. Hughes banging the goal in late on, a bit of pressure on him, wanted to take it around the keeper, but no, he hesitated for a second. I thought he's going to put it in, but he did. That shows what sort of player he is.
He's just got that calm edge, his finishing's frightening. He's so calm and collected, even after training when you're doing shooting. Nothing phases him. He never tries blast a ball ever. Everything's just calm, side foot, composure, and keepers can't get near him half the time. In training he scores more or less every shot he has, and that's the kind of guy he is. If there's one player you want on the end of a chance in a big game, then usually be your man.
You got Peterborough on Saturday at home, 3 home games in 8 days. Is this going to be the one? Is this going to be the one way to turn it round, do you think?
Well, we hope so, because if we don't, we're going to certainly come unstuck on Saturday. Certainly going forward, they're one of the best, probably the best side in the league. So, but defensively, I still think they're not great. So, I think if we sit back and try and hold them out, I don't think we're good enough as a squad to keep a clean sheet against a forward line and midfield as good as theirs. So, I think we're going to need play to our strengths and get the ball in the final third and put their defence under a bit of pressure and see how they deal with it, because like I say, if we sit back and invite the pressure, I think they'll be too good to not score a goal. I think they'll score a goal, and we've got to make sure we score more than them.
Well, they are in that top bit, and you performed against some of the top teams this season so far. Unlucky in a couple of games not to get a point, or more. Beat Bradford, they're up the top. Leyton Orient and Wolves were 2 games where deserve something out of.
Yeah, well, we said it earlier. Bar the Colchester away game, which we were really probably as poor as we were on Tuesday. There hasn't been a side that have outplayed us, really. I thought Brentford were decent on the opening day. Wolves punished us on counter-attacks, but I still think we had the better of the play against Wolves. Obviously, Leyton Orient, if we'd have won that game 3-2, I don't think anybody in the ground could have complained. As it happens, we lost it 3-2, and it's disappointing, but, you can take confidence from losing games of football when you're playing against the big sides and competing well and deserving something from the games. And I think that's why, certainly since the Orient game, the performances have carried on. Obviously the Tranmere and whatnot. You know, since then we've gone 3 unbeaten, I think, in the league. So, you know, we're not going to play well every week. We know that. We're going to lose games of football, but, you know, if we keep working hard for each other, you know, and keep playing to our strengths, stop worrying about what other teams are going to do to us, and then I don't see why we can't be up the top half come the end of the season.
Yeah, well, you're in a new league, there's different teams that you haven't played, and you're not in this league to struggle, though, are you? Mickey Adams wouldn't let that happen.
No, you're not in it to struggle. I think any team that gets promoted to a league above, you know, if you tell them the season after, you know, if you take staying up, doesn't matter what position you're in. You know, if you've just been promoted from a League 2 to League 1 and they say, right, we'll give you 17th place or 16th place at the end of the season, you'd take it. You know, you don't want to be sitting there having a sweat on thinking you're going to make the playoffs when you could be in a relegation battle. So, you know, we've had a good start against some big sides, and, you know, we're confident that if we play the next 10 games like we played the first 10, that we can be in and around the top few places. But, you know, if we play like we did on Tuesday, then we could be in a spot of bother.
Yeah, so it starts again Saturday, Peterborough. Zach Warney is in their squad, of course, known just up the road at Stoke City, so he'll probably get in a bit of stick off the fans and some of the players probably.
Yeah, he's been there for years. Been a good player for him. Centre half. Batley's not the tallest, but he's got a right spring. You know, he's been a decent player. I'm sure Vale fans will be pointed out that he is played for Stoke. But like I say, you know, that's part and part of football. I'm sure he'll deal with it, and, you know, he'll get on with his job. We just got to try and make sure we do ours and make the fans, you know, sing a little bit louder at him. And
yeah, I think that's part of it, though, the banter, isn't it? It wouldn't be the beautiful game without it.
Well, that's part of football, I think. You know, some people start questioning certain songs and certain things, and at the end of the day, you know, there's obviously going to be kids there and they don't want to listen to swearing and things, but, you know, if you don't want to hear that, then you'd probably sit a bit further out the way and where you can watch the game or in a different stand, you know. And it does my head, and when people complain about fans sitting next to all the vocal lads who are going to be singing and probably having a beer and been out for a few hours before the game, and then people go and sit next to them on a Saturday. You know, if you don't want to hear it, then I'm sure Vale Park's not full to the rafters with fans. There's family stands and what have you, and, you know, I'm sure there'll be fans that'll say, I've sat in this stand for God knows how many years, I want to stay there. But, you know, if you look at the size of the paddock, you know, everybody knows where all the vocal lads go on a Saturday. Just move out the way from them, that's what I say.